the topic I want to talk about today, it's related to a few other videos I've done, which I'll link below, which are on the topic of pain, masochism, self-sadism, and spirituality. What I want to actually go into on this video is the dimension of this called epistemology. Now, in philosophy, epistemology is the discipline that deals with truth and what is truth and how do we discern truth, how do we know what is true and what is not true, how do we even talk about that. There's a whole sort of language framework that's used in classic philosophy around epistemology, and of course you've got philosophers arguing for thousands of years on their different forms or their different conclusions or preferences based on their own to help elucidate this topic is an aspect of my own personal epistemology, which is called functional truth. To understand this, we need to back up real quick and reestablish a context for what we're actually talking about. We're talking about being in a dentist chair, getting some dental work done, and not using anesthetic. And we're talking about the way of doing this being like a kind of mindfulness practice where you detach from the sense of I am me, I am this body, I am all the sensations that are arising, therefore I am pain or I am in pain or I am scared or I can't handle this or whatever. Detaching from those things, watching them happen internal to your mind, watching them play out as if they were just internal content that's arising and fall away, separating them out to get some space and separation from the whole incredible experience of intense suffering that's going to happen if you try to get work like that done. Okay, so the part where you're separating from your body, from your thoughts, from your emotions, there's a lot of different, I guess you could say, metaphysical points of view on what's actually happening there. And that's what I want to dip into. I think functional truth is a really good way to explain this while still staying in integrity with truth and epistemology, but still giving ourselves a way to go out on some branches and talk about some really out there stuff without getting into any trouble and without having to resort to intellectual dishonesty or anything like that. This is really where functional truth shines. So, in philosophy, there's a school called philosophical idealism. If I'm going to summarize this, it essentially says that what a human being is not just a body. It's not just the material aspect of things, but that there's an immaterial dimension to who you are as a self, which you could just call a soul, and for the sake of this argument, we'll just call it a soul. And this is actually a way to define a soul, is that it actually exists independent of space-time, independent of the entire material realm, and it links itself to an avatar, which would be me. So my soul, outside of the material realm, is linking to an avatar that exists in this material realm, and then it's having a life experience or a human experience through this avatar. So that's philosophical idealism in a nutshell. But immediately when we start saying things like this, people can start levying arguments like, that's not real because of this, or where's your proof, where's your evidence, that's not a scientific way of looking at things, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, those are all valid criticisms, but they don't invalidate the utility of that philosophical idealism, at the very least, as a useful perspective and a useful way to look at things. So what functional truth is a type of truth that is not based in material evidence. Therefore, it's not necessary to do the scientific process to prove it, because it's making no claims about the material truth of things. It can't be argued deductively and logically because it's not making any claims in that kind of domain either. The claim that we're making, that perspective of the soul and the avatar, is a useful way to look at things, that when you look at things that way, and when you treat it as though that were true, it opens a doorway to many amazing things that can happen by extension of that, that are real and that are measurable. And so that nuance is really important about what type of a claim is being made. When you're making a functional truth claim, like I am with philosophical idealism in this scenario, all I'm claiming is that I believe that, and I believe in reincarnation and all that. I have my own breakdown of how I think it works, but my belief in it is based in utility. My belief in it is based in functionality. It is definitely a useful way for me to look at things, and that's a fact, and I can prove that. I can prove that it's useful scientifically or by any other means that you could challenge me with, because I've thought about it. So I hope that makes sense. I think this distinction of functional truth, which is that you can have a belief, and as long as you're not making any material claims about the metaphysical nature of that belief, you can actually be standing in complete integrity and alignment in truth by any measure, as long as you're careful with your language about the nature of the claim that you're making. Now, I'm not saying that it's not a material truth or that it's not a logical truth. I'm just saying I'm not claiming that it is. Not right now. I'm going to explore those aspects of it in another video, and we'll see. But I tend to limit myself to only making functional truth claims because I can back those up always, 100% of the time. Because the methodology for backing up a functional truth claim is based on personal experience, and it's based on honesty. So you have to be aware of your personal experiences, and you have to be able to report them very cleanly and accurately and honestly. If you can do that, you can back up any functional truth claim that you can make, and you can actually believe in anything that you want without being dishonest. I hope it's a useful distinction for you, and I'll definitely be talking a lot more about this stuff again.